Modern slavery is a complex issue. It can affect all areas of a business and supply chain. Being responsible is one of our 6 core values. At Sunbelt Rentals, we're committed to tackling that risk, and we're doing it to protect our people, to protect the business and protect the markets that we operate in. And to do that, we've enlisted a trusted partner, the Slave Free Alliance. We've partnered with SFA because fundamentally the issue of modern slavery is big, it's complex, and we know that we cannot sort this alone. It's amazing to think that we're still talking about modern slavery today, but it's more prevalent than we'd like to believe. And ultimately, there will be victims of modern slavery on a far greater scale than we could imagine. Something like 77% of businesses will expect to find it somewhere within their own supply chain. And how can that be? Because supply chains are complex. Ours is no different. We have over 1,000 suppliers in ours that provide different products, services and activities. And you have to manage that risk by giving the control and training to your people to make them aware, to be able to mitigate, identify and deal with that risk. But you also have to do it for your suppliers in the same way. So we know that the issue of modern slavery is challenging, but we also know that we have to tackle it. Because behind every statistic that I can quote, ultimately there is a person. So we're 6 months into the partnership with SFA, and we've achieved a lot in that time, and we've made really good progress. In terms of practical things that we've done, they've helped us to review and rewrite our modern slavery statement. We have undertaken the biggest single activity, which is a gap analysis. That's a deep dive into your business, which took place over 3 days. And the purpose is really the start point, ultimately drawing a baseline on where you are today, because from that you get the bulk of your actions and the recommendations that you can start to build a strategy from. One of the key activities from the gap analysis was the identification of the need for a new and updated whistleblowing policy. Slave Free Alliance helped us to provide some guidance on how best to approach it. That whistleblowing policy has now been written and it's live and part of our organisational protection strategy for our colleagues. We've then done quite a lot of training. We've developed an e-learning module, and that's gone out to all 3,000 employees within Sunbelt Rentals, and we're about 80% through in terms of completion. We've then identified that where the risks exist, we've picked up a number of colleagues that need some tailored training. This is more specialist training focused on why and where a particular area of our business could be subject to the risk of modern slavery creeping into it. And there's some quite in-depth training sessions, and they're still underway now. And that may be as high as 70 to 80 colleagues who go through that process. We've also looked at some specifics within our supply chain, and we've started talking to our suppliers. We've taken this twofold. On an individual basis, we're talking and starting to work with some of our strategic suppliers to understand their supply chain in a very deep and meaningful way. We've also looked at where we believe there may be a risk on a couple of smaller suppliers in areas such as workwear and uniform that traditionally the risk can exist. SFA have been really helpful in working with us and helping us work through how you identify that risk, how you approach the supplier. And the suppliers have been fantastic as well, and it's become a real tripartite strategy to try and deal with this and manage it. As a large business with over 1,000 suppliers, you'll appreciate how complex it is to bring a supplier into our business. We have a very strict onboarding process, but the SFA has helped us enhance that process by building in some of them risk identifiers that previously weren't there, and they're now all included, so that when we're talking to suppliers right at the early start, or even mature suppliers, that onboarding process has been boosted. I'd like to finish by just commenting on the 2 areas that I've found most valuable in the partnership in its first 6 months. The first is just the support structure that SFA brings. It's really good to know that we can pick up the phone and have a practical or pragmatic discussion with somebody who understands the issues and help us come to a resolution across any number of issues. The second is the gap analysis. I've spoken about this already. Why do I like it so much? because it's very practical and hands-on, and it allows you to focus into areas of your business that you probably would have found yourselves but taken a lot longer to get there. And it also gives you some real functional activities that you can set the organisation some goals that work towards tackling the issue of modern slavery, because again, it just helps us with that complexity in trying to resolve it and put some long-lasting fixes in place.